When you need advice, come to Ben and Kelly. It's Group Therapy on 99.7 DJX.
All right, let me toss the phone number out real quick. 502-571-9970. Maybe you've gone through this similar situation and you could offer up some advice to our listener. Kelly, you got the email?
I do have the email. So it said, I've been dating this guy since April. He's a nice guy. He's loyal. He's funny. He's honest. We've got good chemistry. He really likes me and has told me multiple times.
All right.
We're both in our 20s. I'm a lawyer. He has a mediocre job that doesn't pay too well.
All right.
He wants for me to meet his family, but I'm a bit hesitant about him because he has a lot of good qualities, and I know this might sound superficial, but he's a little on the cheap side.
Okay.
And that's a turnoff for me. In my past relationship, the guy was a surgeon, so we'd constantly go to fancy dinners and things, and he would never let me pay, which was great, but sometimes I would pay the check beforehand because I wanted him to understand that I don't want him to pay for me all the time.
Gotcha.
But with this guy, ever since the first date, whenever the check comes, he always acts all confused and like, what should we do?
Oh, that's such an awkward dance.
And then I suggest that we split the check, which is fine. I have no problem splitting it. But it would be nice if he actually was like, no, it's okay. I'll pay this time. I just feel like the whole money thing is kind of a turnoff. I don't expect the guy to pay for my dinner, but it's a nice gesture to at least offer. I understand his financial situation is tight, but I just can't get past this whole money thing. So what should I do? And please don't yell at me and call me superficial.
Oh, man, she must listen to the show.
Yeah, I think she kind of knows what she's in for a little bit.
Yeah, and, honestly, I'm a more traditional guy when it comes to that sort of thing where I want to be a provider. I want to be able to pay. I want to be able to, pick a, especially if it's like a date situation. Yeah. I'm paying for the date. And yeah. but that's just me being a little bit more like traditional, I guess. I don't know, old school you may call it, but that's...
My husband's the same way.
So to be this guy where I can't put myself necessarily in that guy's situation where even if money were tight, I'd figure out other things to do or go to cheaper restaurants or, but it would be tough to start dating a person who is used to a different lifestyle.
Right. And Marina kind of pointed out, I think, what a lot of people were thinking. The comparison of the current guy to the previous who was a surgeon did it. That's the superficial part. If you want a remake of your last relationship that clearly didn't work out for some reason, go find another surgeon or attorney or business executive. But if you're hoping for a change, then you may need to change some things about yourself.
I'd like to hear from... especially women who earn significantly more than their man.
How do they navigate that?
Exactly. Because I know that sometimes for guys, it's a pride issue. And
oh, absolutely.
Quite honestly, I don't know how we're going to come to any sort of resolution with this group therapy about finances.
Yeah, it's kind of like they're on two different pages, and we're kind of divided in what a lot of people are trying to say.
Real quick
on
recap.
Facebook and text.
Yeah, she's having issues about money with her boyfriend. Namely, he's cheap, and it's a turnoff for her. I mean, she earns way more than he does, previously dated a surgeon, used to a certain lifestyle. She wants a little effort from him to pick up the check when they go out. And she's like, what do I do?
Yeah, and other than that, everything's fine, but she's a little hesitant to meet his family because she's still not sure about this one big issue. Jessica on Facebook said, you're not superficial. It's important to most to match efforts in all aspects. I think the issue here isn't that he makes less than you. It's that he doesn't spend when you go on dates and isn't creative. If he can't afford a fancy dinner date, fine. He should provide a nice romantic dinner at home. Can't afford a fancy date? Create a nice low-cost date. There are many options that he could do to show you effort and that you're loved.
Yeah, and that I think is key, is you don't always have to go to an expensive restaurant. You can be creative and show a little effort. Meredith is I always made significantly more than my ex-husband. It wasn't an issue. that I made more. What became an issue was that he constantly expected me to pay for everything. And she's like, my new relationship is very different. I still make significantly more, but my new partner is always willing to pay for dates and does kind gestures, flowers, small gifts whenever he can. It's not really about dollar discrepancy. It's the willingness to contribute and be an equal in the relationship. So, so she's like, if he's unwilling to step up and be a gentleman on occasion, then really you should start looking for someone else.
Right. And Samantha said, me and my partner have 2 kids. He's a great father. I really love my job. We've discussed daycare and him getting a job, but I think he was meant to be a dad in life, and we're comfortable with our unique relationship. And, she said, I'm sure you knew his financial situation going into the relationship, so it shouldn't bother you at this point.
Yeah, but sometimes that sexiness just it speaks its own language, I mean, maybe he's got some moves, right?
Maybe he's got some moves. Jennifer said, what happened to feminism? When my kids were little, my significant other stayed at home while I worked. Money isn't everything. And if you describe the guy as nearly perfect, but this one flaw is that he doesn't make much money, then yes, you're being superficial.
So, got a text from a listener who wanted for us to keep her anonymous, but it was like, you know what? I've had friends who wanted to eat at like expensive dinners. And I had to sit out sometimes when I wasn't earning as much. And it was a whole thing because they weren't thrilled I was skipping, girl time, but I couldn't afford their taste at the time. And, eventually we worked it out and it wasn't, but it was hard for a short while. So I don't judge her for her taste because she can afford it, but she needs to decide whether she's comfortable paying or if he's worth it, So.
Right. And do we know if his job situation could change? Is there a chance that he may be earning more later?
Yeah.
To where it might be equaled out a little bit?
Right.
So, there's that kind of factor to consider, but she really has to, it comes down to weighing the pros and cons. Like, how much do your feelings outweigh this one issue that you're bothered by? Okay.
So I think that's where we need to just kind of leave it turn it back on you and say, hey, is this a deal breaker? Is this a big enough red flag? Or is he at least showing effort? Or maybe you can come up with some alternate ideas to dates that aren't nearly as expensive as, maybe you're used to.
He may be thinking you're expecting these fancy, expensive dates. And if you're not, if you're cool with like making it a little bit more cost effective, then it might work itself out.
Yeah. All right. Well, keep us updated on that. That is, and by the way, if you want to comment or you want to continue the conversation, you can do it on our Facebook page. We got it up there for you. @Ben and Kelly Show.